She came to bury a brother. But Crescent Pines had already erased him. No obituary, no search, no questions. Just a polite sheriff's shrug and a neighbor's muttered, "Some folks just ain't meant for country life." But Carla Mendez didn't drive 600 miles in silence just to be told her only brother ran off. Not when she could still hear his voice on that last call. Not when the fear in it chilled her deeper than any winter ever had. The last time someone tried to bury a Mendez, they didn't dig deep enough. And this time, Carla had brought her own shovel. The drive into Crescent Pines felt like peeling back time. Carla's tires rolled over cracked two-lane roads flanked by rotting mailboxes and Trump 2020 signs that no one had bothered to remove. Her federal plates had drawn stares at every gas station since Little Rock, and by the time she crossed the Pine Bluff County line, she was back to wearing her resting face badge of "Don't fuck with me" silence. Miguel had always hated this place. It wasn't their hometown. They'd grown up in Houston, sweating through summers and dreaming of escape. But their mother's last will had included a small, weather-beaten property in Crescent Pines, a rambling one-story rancher surrounded by dense woods and inherited from a great-uncle neither of them remembered. Miguel had planned to sell it. Mara had insisted they try country life for the girls. That was 5 months ago. Now, the house stood at the end of a gravel drive, overgrown and ominous. Carla parked just off the shoulder, taking in the broken porch light and the curtains drawn in midday sun. She exhaled slowly. Her fingers hovered over the console for her service weapon, a reflex, but it wasn't there. She wasn't a marshal anymore. Still, the instincts hadn't left. She knocked. The sound echoed flatly across the yard. No birdsong, no breeze, just the creak of something shifting behind the door. A pause, then it opened. Mara? She looked thinner. Her cheekbones sharper, eyes shadowed, blonde hair pulled back too tightly, like it was trying to keep her face from slipping. "Carla," she said, blinking. "You didn't say you were coming. I don't call before funerals." Mara flinched. "Where's Miguel?" Mara stepped back, barely enough for Carla to enter. "He left." "Left?" Mara nodded once, too quick. "Said he needed space. Took the truck. That was almost a month ago now." Carla's boots hit the wooden floor like verdicts. She scanned the living room. Sparse. No photos. A kid's drawing taped to the fridge, but no family calendar. No Miguel's handwriting anywhere. Just silence, scrubbed too clean. "Where are the girls?" Carla asked. "Upstairs, napping." "They don't nap, not at this age." Mara's eyes narrowed. "You haven't seen them in over a year. Don't pretend you know what they do." Carla didn't blink. "Where's Miguel's phone?" "I don't know." "His boots? His watch? His med bag?" No answers. Just Mara, arms crossed, blocking the stairs now, like she expected Carla to march up and count the children herself. The silence stretched. Finally, Mara spoke, soft and bitter. "You never liked me." "That's true," Carla replied. "But I liked Miguel, and I know damn well he wouldn't leave those girls." Then from upstairs a sound, not footsteps, not laughter. A muffled thud, followed by the sound of a child crying, and then abruptly silenced. Carla's hand went instinctively to her empty holster. Mara moved to block the stairs entirely. "They're fine," she said. "You need to go." But Carla Mendez didn't go. She stepped forward, slow, deliberate, and said the words that would start it all. "Get out of my way, Mara, or I swear to God, I'll bury you next." The second Carla's boot hit the first stair, Mara lunged. Not a push, not a slap. A straight-up tackle, full body, desperate and violent. They crashed against the wall, a framed picture shattering beside them. Carla grunted but didn't go down. She twisted, driving her knee up. Years of tactical training kicked in before thought could. Mara stumbled back, clutching her ribs. "Jesus, Carla," she gasped. "You're gonna want to sit down," Carla said, catching her breath. "Because if you touch me again, I stop pulling punches." She turned, taking the stairs 2 at a time. At the top, a narrow hallway. 3 doors. The one on the left stood open. Empty bedroom. The right, shut. She moved to the center one, barely cracked. Inside, twin beds. Stuffed animals lined up like soldiers on each one. A pink unicorn lamp still glowed softly in the corner. And on the far mattress, curled tight and shaking, Luna. The child looked up as Carla entered, wide brown eyes flickering with recognition, then something deeper. Fear, relief, both. "Luna," Carla whispered. "It's me, Aunt Carla." The girl nodded once. "We were being quiet. Where's your sister?" "She's in the room." Luna pointed to the closed door across the hall. Mommy said not to wake her up. Carla stepped carefully across the room and pulled the child into her arms. "You're okay?" she whispered. "But we're gonna make sure your sister's okay too." She moved back into the hallway, Luna clutching her side. The door across the hall was locked. Carla shouted down the stairs. "Why is your kid locked in a room?" No answer. Carla didn't wait. She kicked the door. Once, twice. The third time, the cheap frame splintered and gave way. Inside, the air was hot. Too hot. The curtains were drawn, the vent taped shut. On the bed, Danny lay motionless under a too-thick blanket, her cheeks flushed red with heat, her lips chapped, dehydrated. "Oh my God," Carla breathed, rushing to her. The child stirred weakly. "Hot. Too hot." Carla ripped off the blanket, scooped her up. "I've got you." Behind her, she heard Mara's voice again. Quiet now. Almost a whisper. She wouldn't stop screaming. Carla turned. Mara stood at the top of the stairs now, pale and still. She kept asking where Daddy was. "I couldn't take it anymore." "You locked her in a furnace," Carla snapped. "She was gonna ruin everything." Carla didn't move. "Where is Miguel?" Mara didn't answer. Instead, she looked toward the woods through the hallway window and smiled. "You'll never find him." That was it. Carla moved fast, shoving past Mara, carrying both girls, Danny weak in her arms, Luna clinging tight. She bolted down the stairs, out the front door, and to her truck. Mara screamed something behind her. Rage and panic, twisted together. But Carla didn't look back. She secured the girls inside and grabbed her satellite phone from the glove box. "Yeah, this is Carla Mendez," she said into the receiver. "Badge number's retired, but I'm calling in a welfare emergency on 2 minors. I've got a possible domestic homicide, and I'm not leaving this town until I find my brother's body." The hospital in Crescent Pines was little more than a converted clinic. Paint chipped off the walls, one nurse at the desk, no pediatric wing. Carla hovered like a hawk as they examined Danny, who was dehydrated but stable, and checked Luna for bruising. The moment they were alone in the curtained-off bay, Luna leaned in. "Aunt Carla, we weren't supposed to tell." Carla knelt beside the bed. "Tell what, baby?" Luna hesitated, eyes darting around the room like someone might be listening. "Daddy's gone, but not how Mommy says." Carla's chest tightened. "What do you mean?" "She said Daddy left us," Luna whispered. "But he didn't." Carla waited. Luna's voice dropped further, a trembling breath. "He screamed." The room spun for a second. Carla closed her eyes. She'd seen plenty of parents lie. Plenty of people make terrible choices under pressure. But not this. Not this kind of silence. The kind rooted in something bigger. Something planned. Luna reached into the pocket of her hoodie and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "Don't tell Mommy I kept it," she said. It was a torn scrap of topographic map, the kind survivalists used. In pencil, Miguel's handwriting marked a section deep in the woods behind the property. A red X, and 2 words. Cold cellar. Carla recognized the location. It was past the quarry, near the old ranger outpost. Remote. Unmapped. The kind of place you only knew about if someone told you. The kind of place you buried things you didn't want found. She stood, tucking the map into her pocket. "You did good, Luna. I'm proud of you." The girl's eyes welled up, but she nodded. A nurse appeared with mild sedatives and warm soup. Danny was still sleeping. Carla made sure both girls were calm and safe, then pulled the nurse aside. "I want them under 24-hour observation. No visitors. Especially not their mother." The nurse raised an eyebrow. "Even if she's their legal guardian?" Carla leaned in. "Not for long." Back at the house, Mara was gone. The front door left open. No car in the driveway. Carla swept through the rooms. Fast, tactical, heart-pounding. And then she found it. A hatch door in the pantry floor. Old iron hinges, half buried under a rug and a few stacked crates. Recently moved. She grabbed a flashlight and pried it open. Stairs descended into darkness. Cold air rose to meet her, damp, chemical-tinged. She hesitated, then descended. The cellar wasn't a root cellar. It wasn't even a storm shelter. It was a bunker. Concrete walls, military-grade storage crates, oxygen scrubbers, flashlights clipped to hooks, a locked cabinet of preserved meals, and a cot, blood-stained. Carla froze. On the wall, written in black marker above the cot, "Traitors are replaced." There were photos tacked beside it, old newspaper clippings, articles about militia raids, anti-government screeds, and in the center, a printed image of Miguel circled in red. A target. Carla's breath caught. This wasn't domestic violence, this was domestic terrorism. Behind her a floorboard creaked. She turned fast. A man stood in the hatch, mid-60s, bearded, hunting vest, shotgun in hand. "Didn't think you'd get this far," he said, cocking the weapon. "But I guess blood really does run thicker than orders." The flashlight beam sliced through the bunker's cold air, illuminating the face behind the shotgun. Carla knew that face. "Royce Keller," she said, voice flat. "Didn't expect to see a ghost patriot playing concierge for suburban widows." Royce didn't flinch. "Didn't expect you to still recognize me." "I forget a lot of things," Carla said. "People who teach kids to build IEDs? Not one of them." Royce stepped inside, boots crunching on gravel-coated concrete. "I don't answer to the ghosts anymore, not since Ruby Ridge got a second chapter." "Then what's this?" Carla gestured to the photos, the red circle around her brother's face. Royce followed her finger. "That?" He spat to the side. "That's what happens when you put faith in the wrong woman." Carla's body tensed. "You helped Mara?" "I thought I was helping a mother escaping a deep-state husband who was getting ready to flip." "You mean my brother? A black ER nurse with a Save the Children bumper sticker?" "She told us he was DEA, said he was prepping to expose some of our people. Had names, logs." She lied. "I figured that out when she asked me how long a body took to decompose in lime." Carla's stomach turned. "I didn't answer," Royce added quickly. "Instead, I checked the map she drew. It didn't add up. Miguel wasn't leaving. He was building an escape." Carla stared at him, fury rising. "You stood by while she locked up a child. You saw the blood on that cot. You knew." "I didn't sign up for kids," Royce said, quieter now. "But I couldn't walk away without knowing for sure." He stepped forward slowly, then placed the shotgun on the ground. "I know what this looks like, but I'm not the one you need to worry about." Carla didn't lower her guard. "Where is Miguel?" "I don't know." Royce admitted. "Last time I saw him, he was alive, drugged. They moved him." Royce met her gaze. "There's a new splinter group, broke off from the old Patriot circles, real quiet, real rich. Mara's one of them. Thinks she's more important than she is, but she's got connections. Real estate, crypto laundering, fake charities. She's been funneling money to buy off the sheriff, the judge, half this damn county." Carla took a step back, the weight of it settling. "Why tell me this now?" "Because I saw the girls," Royce said, "and because I got a granddaughter the same age. I messed up, but I can help fix it." He pulled something from his pocket, a GPS tracker. "This was in Mara's glove box," he said. "Last ping was 2 hours ago, about 10 miles west, near an old hunting station we used back in the day. She's moving fast." Carla grabbed it without hesitation. "You're coming with me." "Gladly," Royce said, grabbing his shotgun. "But if we find her first, you better pray I don't shoot." "No," Carla said. "You don't shoot. You testify." Outside, the late afternoon sun was falling behind the trees. Carla loaded the GPS into her truck system, handed Royce a burner phone from her glove box, and floored it. They drove in silence for a long time, the tension between them brittle but strangely aligned. Royce broke it first. "Why'd you leave the Marshal Service?" Carla didn't look away from the road. "I buried a black informant because my white supervisor said the threat wasn't credible. Got tired of being the only one yelling fire in a house full of smoke." Royce nodded. "Guess we both stopped believing the people we worked for." "No," Carla said. "I just stopped letting them lie to me." They reached the first fire trail before dusk. The GPS beeped, signal nearby. Carla stepped out, hand resting on the grip of her sidearm. The forest was silent. Too silent. "She's here," Royce said. Carla scanned the woods. "Then so is Miguel, and I swear, if he's dead—" Royce finished the sentence for her, cold and certain. "Then we bury her instead." The GPS pinged again, closer now, erratic. Either the signal was bouncing in the dense forest, or someone knew they were being tracked. Carla crouched behind a fallen pine, Royce scanning the tree line to the west. The overgrowth here was thick, swampy in patches. An old hunting station loomed 50 yards ahead, raised on stilts, half collapsed but still standing. "Movement at 2 o'clock, Royce murmured. Carla squinted, a figure. Tall, ponytail, moving fast, alone. Mara. She ducked beneath the station's platform and disappeared behind it. Carla exhaled, slow and steady, then stood. "I'm going in." Royce's hand landed on her shoulder. "Don't go alone." She looked him dead in the eye. "You want to shoot her or you want to testify? Because if it's the second one, stay put." He hesitated, then gave a tight nod. Carla moved like a ghost, low, precise, feet crunching soft through dead leaves. The sun dipped low behind the trees, bathing the forest in amber light. She circled around the station's back where rusted steps led to the entrance. Instead of ascending, she dropped to her knees and scanned underneath. There, beneath the planks, sat a makeshift door, hidden by brush. A trap door. Of course. She waited, listened. Nothing. With a flick of her wrist, she drew the slim pry bar from her belt, never traveled without it, and began to lift the trapdoor. The hinges groaned. Then, click. A red laser flared to life, attached to a tripwire. Rigged. Booby-trapped. Carla froze. One wrong move and the whole underside would blow. "Nice try," she muttered, inching backward. Then a voice, low and shaking, echoed from within. "You should have just let him go, Carla." "Mara." Carla stood up slowly, stepped onto the platform above, and kicked open the creaking door. The hunting station was empty except for a table, a cot, and Miguel. He was chained to the far wall, wrists bound above his head, barely conscious. His lips were cracked. A bruise bloomed along his jaw. "Miguel!" Carla rushed forward, then stopped. Behind her, a hammer cocked. "Step away," Mara said from the shadows, shotgun raised. Carla turned slowly. "You really want to pull that trigger?" she said, calm. "You wouldn't shoot me," Mara replied. "You're right," Carla said. "But he would." Mara blinked. Behind her, Royce emerged from the stairwell, his own shotgun aimed squarely at her head. "Drop it," he said, his voice hard now. Mara didn't. She pivoted, fast, but she was too slow. Carla lunged. The shotgun fired once, wild, blowing a hole in the wall. Then Carla crashed into her, knocking the weapon away. They hit the floor in a tangle of limbs. Mara clawed, screamed, went for Carla's eyes, but Carla had rage on her side. And justice. She slammed Mara's head into the wooden floor, not enough to kill, just enough to stop the struggle. It was over in seconds. Carla stood breathless, staring down at the woman who tried to erase her brother like a clerical error. Roy stepped past her, knelt by Miguel. "He's alive, weak, but alive." Carla nodded. "Call it in." Royce did. Carla turned back to Mara, who now lay cuffed and bleeding, eyes wide with something new, fear. "Tell me why," Carla said. "One honest sentence." Mara coughed, spat blood. "He was going to leave me, take the girls. I didn't matter anymore." "You never did," Carla said, "not in the way you wanted." Then she knelt beside Miguel, whispering, "I got you, baby brother. You're going home." The sirens hit just after dark. Miguel was loaded into an ambulance with an oxygen mask and IV drip. Carla rode beside him, her fingers clutching his hand as if letting go would undo the miracle of finding him alive. His eyes fluttered open once. "Carla," he rasped. "I'm here," she said. "You don't have to say a word." She meant it, but she knew eventually he'd have to. They all would. By morning, Crescent Pines was a town on fire. Not literally, but something close, because the story had broken, and not from the sheriff's office, from Royce. Before sunrise, he had uploaded the footage he'd secretly recorded on a body cam, Mara's trapdoor, the photos on the bunker walls, and his own confession to aiding a domestic terror cell. The video went viral in under 4 hours. By 8 a.m., CNN was parked outside the Crescent Pines courthouse. By 9:30, federal agents arrived, and by 10, the sheriff had resigned. Carla sat outside the girls' hospital room with 2 black coffees in her hand and a police escort flanking the hallway. Ren and Luna had been reunited that morning. It was gentle, tentative. Their memories didn't match yet, but their love did. Now, they slept again, tangled in one bed, small arms wrapped tight around each other. She'd give anything for them to never know how close they'd come to becoming names on a wall. Inside the conference room on the 3rd floor, Carla faced the press. She stood beside federal officials, FBI, Child Services, even the state AG. Mara had been formally charged. Attempted murder, Carla. Kidnapping. Ren, child endangerment. First-degree attempted murder. Miguel. Domestic terrorism conspiracy, and more would follow. Royce Keller had been granted a deal in exchange for full cooperation and witness testimony. His sentence would depend on what else he handed over. Carla stood at the microphone, uninvited, but no one stopped her. Mendez, she began, voice level but heavy. "I'm a former U.S. Marshal. I spent 20 years tracking fugitives, but nothing prepared me for what I found in this town." She paused. "Let it breathe. My brother Miguel was marked for death, not by strangers, but by someone he loved, and by a community that watched and said nothing. Reporters scribbled, Cameras clicked. She looked out at the crowd. There are systems in place to protect abusers, to disappear black men, to silence women who know too much. We saw all of them here, and now the world sees them too. She stepped down before applause could start. This wasn't a moment to clap. It was a moment to change. Later, in the hospital hallway, Miguel was recovering slowly. He was thin, weak, but smiling now. He held Luna's hand in one, Ren's in the other. "Did I miss much?" he asked, his voice gravel. Carla smirked. "Not a thing," she said. "Just turn the whole damn state upside down." Then she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small notebook, the one he used for wilderness survival notes. "I found this under the floorboards," she said. "You left me a map." Miguel nodded weakly. "I knew you'd come." Carla's throat tightened. "You remember what you told me the night Mom died?" He blinked. "Don't let the bastards bury us." "Yeah," she whispered. "Guess what?" She leaned down, kissed his forehead, and said, "They're the ones digging now." The courthouse steps looked like a war zone. Press barricades, camera crews, protest signs held by both allies and enemies. Half the town wanted Mara hung. The other half? They called her the victim. "She's just a mother." She snapped. She was protecting her girls from a violent man. The same man who now lay in a hospital bed, barely 140 pounds, too weak to speak longer than 10 minutes at a time. Carla watched from the shadows near the rear entrance, hands in her pockets, mouth tight. They always did this, painted black survival as violence, white cruelty as mental illness, and silence as neutrality. Inside the courtroom, Mara's lawyer made their first move, temporary insanity, followed by a restraining order. Against Carla. "She is emotionally unstable, Your Honor," the defense attorney said with a straight face, "and she's currently manipulating the children." The judge didn't deny it outright, didn't laugh it off, didn't even blink. Carla stared at him from across the courtroom. A white man in his early 60s, Crescent Pines born and bred, and she knew he'd been one of the names on the sheriff's campaign donation list. The system wasn't broken. It was designed like this, so she prepared to go over it. That night, Carla met with Royce one last time. "You ready to burn what's left of your bridges?" she asked. Royce lit a cigarette, hands trembling. "Hell, I burned them when I saved your niece." He handed her a flash drive. "What's this?" "The books," he said. "Mara's militia contacts, crypto wallets, money trails, even some feds on payroll. Took me weeks to pull it off her offline backups." She thought she was the smart one. Carla stared at the drive. "Why give it to me?" "Because she's not the only one who'll come for me." "Witness protection?" he snorted. "I'll be dead by Tuesday if I ask the feds for help. But if you drop this in the right inbox." Carla pocketed it. "It goes straight to the U.S. attorney. And then we make sure Crescent Pines never hides another body again." Royce offered a last handshake. She took it, then watched him disappear into the trees. He wouldn't be seen again. 2 days later, the story broke again. This time with the receipts. National outlets ran headlines that read, "Militia network tied to suburban mother's murder plot." Federal agents investigating ties between local government and white supremacist cells. Ex-U-Marshal delivers evidence linking judge to domestic terror ring. The courtroom dynamic shifted. Mara's defense team filed motions to withdraw. The judge filed a request for early retirement, and the DOJ sent a quiet delegation to Carla's hotel. In a quiet debrief room, a woman in a navy suit laid a folder on the table. "You've done more than we expected," the agent said. Carla didn't reply. She just waited. "You want your badge back?" the agent asked. "No," Carla said. "You want a security detail?" "No." "What do you want?" Carla leaned forward, tapping the folder. "I want permanent custody of my nieces. I want their school paid for. I want the state to drop the whisper campaign about Miguel's anger issues. And I want Mara Quinn to rot in a cell so deep she forgets sunlight exists." The agent smiled, thin and tired. "Consider it done." Outside, Carla lit a cigarette she didn't even plan to finish. A new storm was rolling in. But for the first time since her boots hit Crescent Pines, she didn't feel like she was walking into it alone. The hospital room was quieter now. Miguel sat propped up in bed, a feeding tube gone, color returning to his cheeks in slow, deliberate waves. A few pounds heavier, still gaunt, but present. He held a paintbrush in his right hand, sloppy watercolors spread across a tray table. Opposite him, Luna and Ren dipped their own brushes in pink and green. It looked almost normal. But Carla could see the fault lines. Wren flinched every time a door slammed. Luna had stopped asking when they were going home. And Miguel, he hadn't painted since he was 12. I couldn't write anymore, he told her once. My hands shook too bad, so I tried this. He dipped his brush again, turned to Luna. Looks like a dragon to me. She smiled faintly. It's a sunflower, Miguel laughed. Guess I need new glasses. Carla watched the moment stretch, tender but fragile. She knew what was coming, and it was time. The visitation room at the county jail was small, windowless, and too warm. Mara sat behind plexiglass, orange jumpsuit crisp, hair tied in a tight braid, still trying to look composed, controlled. Carla took the chair opposite her. They didn't speak for a full minute. Then Carla broke the silence. He's alive, Mara blinked once. No emotion. Should have finished the job. Carla leaned in, hands folded. You're going away, no parole, no early release. Royce made sure of that. Mara smiled, barely. I'll still be remembered. You will, Carla agreed. As a coward, a manipulator, a domestic terrorist with a motherhood complex. Mara's jaw tightened. You don't get to talk to my girls, Carla said. Not ever again. You don't get letters, you don't get photos, you don't even get to know their birthdays. You think I care? I know you do, because control was all you ever had, and now you get nothing, not even their memory. Mara sat stiffly, her eyes locked on Carla's, burning with silent hate. Why? Carla asked softly. Why not just walk away? You had money, access, you could have started over. Mara's face cracked, just a fraction. They loved him more. Carla shook her head. No, they loved who you pretended to be, but they trusted him, and now they're learning how to trust again, without you. She stood, knocking once on the glass before walking away. Behind her, Mara didn't shout, didn't beg. She just sat there, small, contained, and utterly erased. That evening, Carla returned to the hospital. Wren was asleep on Miguel's shoulder, Luna curled beside her. Carla stood in the doorway, watching them breathe. You okay? Miguel asked without looking up. No, she said honestly, but we will be. He nodded. I talked to the DA today, she added. They're sealing the girls' identities. You'll get custody once you're stable. What about you? Miguel asked. Carla smiled faintly. Temporary guardian, lifelong troublemaker. He laughed softly. We're not the same people anymore. No, she agreed. But maybe we're the people we were supposed to be. She sat beside him, and for a long time they said nothing. Outside the window, crescent pines flickered in the distance, torn open, exposed. But inside this room, something better was growing. Not forgiveness, not yet, but family. And that would be enough, for now. The courthouse was colder than it should have been. Not outside, inside. Like the walls had absorbed too many secrets and were trying to freeze them into silence. Carla sat just behind the prosecution table, dressed in a black blazer and boots that still carried forest dust from the day she found Miguel. Her hair was braided tight, her hands still, poised. The courtroom was packed, not just locals anymore. Reporters, advocates, survivors, federal agents, and one empty seat in the front row, reserved for Royce Keller. He wouldn't be attending. They'd found his truck just off Highway 43. Doors open, keys in the ignition, wallet on the dash. No body, no witnesses, and no doubt, someone had decided Royce had talked too much. Miguel testified first. He stood on the witness stand, thin but upright, his voice steady even when it shook. She said she just wanted to start over, he told the jury. She said I didn't know what was best for the girls, and when I told her we were leaving, that I'd already filed for custody. He stopped, swallowed. She drugged me, woke up in a bunker, couldn't move for days, only knew I was still alive because I kept hearing the girls cry upstairs. A hush settled. Even Mara's defense team didn't object. Because what could you say to that? Miguel finished his testimony with the one sentence that silenced even the cameras. I wasn't just trapped, I was erased. Carla testified next. She laid out everything. The forged medical records Mara used to keep Miguel isolated. The sheriff's office refusal to log a missing persons report. The anonymous threats she received once Mara was arrested. Your brother should have stayed gone. The crypto accounts. The militia ties. The trapdoor rigged with explosives. Then she held up a folded drawing. Wren's sunflower. The one from the hospital. She drew this after she asked me why her mom locked her in a hot room alone. Why her mom walked away while she screamed. I didn't have an answer. Carla faced the jury. Looked every single one in the eye. But you can give her one. The closing arguments lasted under an hour. Mara never took the stand. Her lawyers had nothing left to salvage. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. When they returned, no one exhaled. Not until the 4 persons stood and read, "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty on all counts. First-degree attempted murder, kidnapping, terrorism, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice." A sentence was issued immediately. Life, no parole. After the verdict, Carla stepped outside. The press surged. She ignored them. What could she say? That justice had been served? No, justice was never this clean. Not when Royce was dead. Not when Miguel still woke up screaming. Not when Luna whispered, "Will Mommy ever come back?" in her sleep. Carla walked past the cameras, found a quiet bench under a gnarled magnolia tree outside the courthouse. Sat, finally let the weight settle. Then she pulled out her phone. A photo on the screen. Ren and Luna at breakfast this morning, giggling over strawberry cereal and arguing about whose turn it was to feed the cat. Carla stared at it, not smiling, not crying, just breathing. Sometimes survival looks like vengeance, but sometimes it just looks like this: a safe house, a locked door, and 2 little girls who get to grow up. 1 year later. The house on Honey Ridge Road didn't look like much from the outside. Just a 2-bedroom fixer-upper tucked at the edge of a tree line, a wraparound porch sagging slightly at the corners. But the lawn was overgrown in the right way, with wildflowers creeping into the grass and a tire swing creaking gently in the breeze. Inside, life was happening. Miguel stood at the kitchen counter, stirring pancake batter one-handed, while Luna sat cross-legged on the floor trying to teach their new rescue dog to high-five. Ren leaned over the kitchen table, coloring with focused intensity, her leg in a lightweight brace but stronger every day. And Carla? She stood on the porch, coffee mug in hand, watching it all through the screen door. The world hadn't forgotten. The Mara Quinn case, as they still called it, had become a staple of true crime podcasts and federal training briefings. A documentary was in production. A book deal had been offered. Carla turned it down. Too many people already making money from dead black men. She wasn't adding to the list. Instead, she focused on what mattered. Ren had nightmares less now, not gone, but fading. And Luna had stopped flinching when she heard a woman's voice yell in public. Miguel had gone back to school, not as a nurse, but to become a therapist for survivors of trauma. He said it felt like stitching wounds that didn't bleed. Carla had turned her U.S. Marshal pension into something unexpected, a scholarship fund, named for Royce Keller. She didn't forgive him, not fully, but she knew what it meant to be the last one to speak when no one wanted to listen. That spring, on a sunlit Sunday, the 4 of them piled into the truck and drove an hour out to an old community center in Fort Riggins. The ribbon cutting was small, modest, just how Carla liked it. The new sign out front read, "The Mendez Center for Protection and Recovery, for children who lose what they should never have to live without." No press, no cameras. Just a girl in a sunflower dress holding her sister's hand and asking if she could cut the ribbon. Carla handed her the scissors. That night, as the stars came out and the girls dozed off on a blanket under the porch light, Carla sat with Miguel watching fireflies rise from the grass like sparks trying to find their sky. "You ever think," he asked, "that maybe we didn't survive the fire, we just walked through it long enough to learn how to build something new?" Carla sipped her coffee, then nodded. "No one ever gets out clean, but we made it out whole. That's enough." Miguel looked toward the girls. "You think they'll remember what happened?" Carla watched Luna shift in her sleep, Ren's hand still wrapped around hers. "Only what we teach them," she said. "Only what we choose to carry forward." And so they chose love. They chose peace. They chose to remember, not the worst day, but the ones after, where breath still came, where justice didn't undo pain, but made space for healing, where 2 little girls grew up knowing the truth and being free from it. Because in the end, it wasn't just a rescue, it was a rebirth. And Carla Mendez had finally laid her brother's ghost to rest by giving his daughters a life he would have been proud of.